I'm Professor Noctis. I teach religion and Final Fantasy at University of Alabama, and we have a good time here on stream. Hey, what's up, everybody? It has been a minute, but we are so excited to be back with you with another episode of the Prof Noctis Show. So, welcome back. I guess welcome back to us. It's been summer break, so we've taken a little bit more of some time for ourselves. I just got back from vacation. We try to have a good, proper work-life balance, but we're excited to be back today. Here at the top of the hour, we do want to give a little bit of housekeeping. As we are moving into the fall semester, we've got a lot of great content coming up between some new game releases, Final Fantasy Tactics, and of course Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remake later on in the fall, and whatever Nintendo has coming up that is interesting. We just don't know at this point. But we are going to be shifting around some of our schedule. We want to make you aware of that. We're going to be going to 2 of this show's episodes a month moving forward. And, if we need to turn that up for certain projects and stuff, then we will. But we're going to try for that standard of 2 a month. That also means you're going to start getting some more video essays. I know a lot of you have been waiting on some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth video essays. We did the full lecture series last year where you're going to get some video essays. Finally, at last, I feel like after a year of research, maybe it's time. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, those are coming. But we wanted to give you a heads up. And when you're like, where are Prof and Evan? Well, now you know. We're
right
kind
here.
of staggering it out so that our content can be better for you. We feel like that is probably going to be the life rhythm that is going to work best for us. So
it happens to coincide with college football coming back. It's...
Don't say the quiet part out
I'm
loud.
sorry.
I mean, that's it. I mean...
It's fall in the South.
Okay, we'll take a 30-second break. How do you feel about the dogs?
Who knows?
Who knows? It feels so
Who
secretive.
knows?
In the days of NIL, it feels so secretive.
Who knows?
Nobody knows.
I have no idea. How are we feeling about the Tide?
Well, the NCAA video game has Tide at like top stats, so I'm feeling pretty good according to the fortune tellers of EA or whoever's doing it.
Yeah, I forgot that new one came out.
Yeah, it did, and Bama's like up there. So that's the closest clue that I've got that we might have a good season. So,
I like that. I think
pressure's
that's
on,
good.
DeBoer.
Listen, I think it's going to be a wild ride, but I can't believe it's like a month and a half away.
Isn't that nuts? Well, we'll talk about football in the future, but today we are excited to talk about a brand new game. And it's a game published by 505 Games, a game that they sent us. I got to play a little bit of it, demoing it at Summer Games Fest back in early June. And I've been tinkering with it for the last couple of weeks while I was on vacation in Japan a little bit, thanks to the PlayStation Portal, until my power blinked and the portal no longer worked.
No,
that's a whole other review sort of thing that I
tragedy.
could do. So I was put back a lot of hours. But, of course, we are talking about the new Soulslike game, Wuchong Fallen Feathers.
Okay, hold on. We
did a lot of pre-show on this.
We have talked at length about how to pronounce the name of this game.
I'm just not confident.
We've looked it up. We have watched videos. We have watched other people say the name of this game. And you've played the game. And we had so much discussion about the proper way to pronounce this, and we have failed. We cannot get it right. And you just pronounced it in a new and unique way.
New way. I think I don't know why I did Wuchong. It's a Wuchong. I don't know why.
We don't know if it's we've tried. So if you are familiar,
I'm trying to make it sound more exotic, but it's immediately already exotic.
So we're right here at the beginning of this video pleading for your help.
Yeah.
We need your help in learning how to properly say the name of this game and get the pronunciation right.
Please.
Because we're
not Chinese scholars.
We can't do it. We're interested in it. We love the history.
Love it. I can speak ancient Greek. I cannot speak Chinese. Okay, like this is the problem.
I don't even have any of those laurels to rest on, so I'm just here adrift in the ocean here, the South China Sea, if you will, and I just don't know where I am.
So here's the thing. I have heard it said every way, on every YouTube video and in the game even, Wuchong or Wuchang. Okay, we're going to go with Wuchong. I think that's probably the most popular pronunciation, if not the correct one. Well, but if it is Wuchang and we're just being idiots, let us know.
We'll put ourselves in the posture of learners. Please
teach us.
Enjoy our ineptitude here and help us to learn. So we look forward to you teaching us. Well, now that we've gotten past the name, why don't you tell us a little bit about this game? I know that we're really grateful to 505 for providing a copy of the game and that you're having a very good time with it. Where are you? What do you do? What is the point of this game? And I realize, too, that we need to probably give just a little bit of a precursor. Yeah. The way that we do these kind of game previews is we do Prof Recommends, and so we believe that every game has an audience, and it's really about the game trying to find the audience and the audience trying to connect with the right game. So we don't do reviews and scores, and we're not critics. We want to try and understand the game, talk a little bit more, and think thoughtfully about the setting and the messaging that the game is trying to say, share some about what the play experience will be, and help you to understand what you or somebody that you know or care about could really connect with in this game. So our goal is to keep people playing games, to keep people talking thoughtfully and enjoyably about games. So we want to give you the information that you need. Even if you're not going to play it, this is a great way to watch this video and be able to have a conversation with somebody in your life who really likes this game. So that's what we're trying to do here as we try and help you understand what that play experience is.
That's right. We have this fundamental belief that every game has an audience. It may be a widespread audience or it may be a very niche audience, but every game can find its right audience. And that's kind of our goal with this. I will say Wuchang Fallen Feathers is not going to be one of those games that is for everyone. And that's because it's a Soulslike. In a Soulslike game, the better it is at being a Souls-like, the less universal appeal it's going to have. That's just the reality of it.
Okay, so Souls-like game is a reference to a game series called Dark Souls. They're traditionally very difficult, and that's part of the whole point, is that it's a challenging technical game that has more of a self-guided story. It's not so overt in some of its storytelling.
Yeah, Dark Souls games are unapologetically difficult and kind of obtuse in their storytelling. You're going to learn the story from item descriptions and atmosphere and just environmental storytelling with very, very minimal cutscenes. Now that's the classic genre-defining Souls-like experience created by From Software with Dark Souls, and maybe even what was called Demon Souls before that, right? Great remake out on PlayStation 5 of that game. But it was the thing that really began to set apart this style of play, and it caught. There are usually no difficulty settings in these games. That has kind of tempered a little bit in the last few years, with especially some DLC and patches and
they
stuff.
They have mercy on people
games.
like myself.
But the truest form of a Souls-like is that it is going to be brutally difficult, and the story is one that you piece together. And one of the things that I really love about that could be like an easy critique of well, I like a story and that sort of. The story is there, but it's almost like a detective mystery of there's enough room for you to use some imagination and conjecture to build in the world's details. And that's something that I particularly really love, but I'm also a Final Fantasy 15 fan, and you have to do that with that game too.
Well, that's identifying the fact that it does more passive storytelling is, I think it's very fair. So you play a character and you run around in an open world and you kind of have that kind of action RPG combat. Tell us a little bit about what the setting is like and what you control the same character the whole time. I assume that we kind of don't know.
Well, so I'll tell you a little bit about it, and I'm going to start by just giving you the Steam store description because I think it's good and concise.
Can you read it like a bedtime story?
I will. Wuchang Fallen Feathers, children, is a Souls-like action RPG set in the land of Shu during the dark and tumultuous late Ming dynasty, plagued with warring factions and a mysterious illness spawning monstrous creatures. Now, go to bed.
I don't want to. I want to hear more about the late Ming dynasty.
Well, you'll have to play. So it's typically in a lot of Souls-likes, you're going to get this, especially Dark Souls games, you're going to get this pseudo medieval fallen civilization sort of thing. This game is unique because it is unashamedly Chinese. Okay, it is Chinese inspired with some fictionalized retellings and reimaginings of some of the folklore and mythology, things that I love.
Yeah, very rich history.
It's rich history with a new interpretation. It's like spinning that jewel of being like, well, I've never thought of that before. And so I love this stuff. And as soon as I get to a certain area in this game, really in the first 10 minutes, it took me probably an hour to get through the tutorial-ish area just because I was so enwrapped by some of the scenes and settings. I saw a giant Buddha statue. I was like,
I need to hang out here for a minute. Yeah,
I want to look at that. And turns out the developers did their homework because they sent dev team members over to do research with scholars, and they tried to recreate, for the most part, this one of the world's largest Buddha statues in the game. And I thought that kind of attention to detail was really, really cool. This game is very Buddhist and Taoist in a lot of ways, except for the constant killing of anything that moves. But just aesthetically and environment and just the relics that you find, they're very rooted in those traditions. And I really appreciated that.
How does that impact that play experience? Being in that kind of setting with those kinds of themes while you're running around and having a little bit of control over your character.
Having spent the last year really researching and learning more and more about Buddhism and Eastern religions, there's a little bit of a tension. Because on the one hand, Buddhism is largely about mitigating suffering. It's the acceptance of suffering in its existence and finding ways out of suffering, typically like the Eightfold Path. In this way, you're also trying to mitigate suffering of people that are plagued, but you use a sword or a weapon to kind of mitigate that suffering. And so there is this inherent tension for me in those themes, but I think that largely it works. It's really rooted in kind of this warrior monk sort of mentality. And so there is a strand that goes along with it, but it is interesting to see all of these Buddha icons and then to have gameplay like this.
Well, I think
it's an intentional tension is what I'm trying to say.
A challenging Souls-like game with Buddhist themes, trying to endure and overcome suffering by throwing very difficult challenges at the player so that you can experience in a safe way and in a safe environment some of the stress that comes with that kind of struggle. I think is an interesting kind of meta narrative in the way that it comes together. But I also think that the introduction of a plague in this kind of being the inciting action for why you would need to take that, because in Buddhism, I mean, they'll garden, like if there's a weed, or they'll move things. If something's diseased, you handle the disease, and so it's not violence for violence sake. It sounds like it is some sort of this is unhealthy, and so we have an obligation to encourage thriving and mitigate disease and to try to understand to get past suffering. So I don't know if it's, I mean, you got to have, if it's a combat game, you got to have it.
Well, it's true. At the same time, that I'm really interested in what you just said, because it made me think of something that I've experienced in this game, but I don't think that I've really had the words for it. In this game, you are going to die. I would love to see a no-hit run. I know that crazy people are out there and they do that. Who was it? Let me solo her or whatever. For the Melania fight in Elden Ring. That dude's nuts. Wild. And I'm like, how in the world take off all of your armor and like you're gonna no hit Melania. Come on, like that ain't me. I'm like die and grind and die and die and die for 9 hours on stream in Lies of P, as we all
right there with you
communally remember in my life. But there is something about the acceptance of death as a part of this, lather, rinse, repeat. And that is, I think, really true to the Buddhist themes of like, we're going to accept the difficulty of this and we're going to try to find ways of overcoming that struggle. So that really is, if you think about it that way, I wonder if you could do like a meditative practice of Buddhism and acceptance playing this game. I'm like sweating bullets and like gripping my controller, so maybe I'm, not great at the Buddhism. But anyway.
Well, before we get to that combat, which I'm very curious about because it sounds like that's a big part and a majority of what the play experience is, talk a little bit about what it's like to be in the world, to explore the settings. How do you get from A to B? How does it create an interesting pathway? Is there a story that's involved there?
Yeah.
What is it like to run around? What's the level design?
It's pretty classic, I would say, action game sort of stuff. Like you're moving your character around. You play as a female protagonist named Wuchang. Interestingly, do you want to get into some Chinese lore for a second?
I'm ready.
Okay, so when you begin to look up Wuchang, without it being the game, you're going to find two representations of it. Bai Wuchang and Hei Wuchang. Again, forgive me if the pronunciations. But these mean two different things. Bai Wuchang means white impermanence, and Hei Wuchang means black impermanence. And they are essentially like grim reapers in Chinese mythology, or death's gatekeepers. Think of them kind of like ghostly officials of the underworld. And they appear when a soul leaves the body to escort it to where it belongs. Peacefully, if it died well, and reluctantly, if it did not die well. And so here in this game, you're playing as someone named Bai Wuchang. Okay, and so that's the white impermanence. And it's the idea if you're trying to help souls and those that are struggling find their rest. And that's the way that I began to interpret some of the themes in this game. She's not just any hero, but she's like the embodiment of impermanence, kind of a guide between life and death, and a character trapped in these two worlds in a cycle of life and death. Very similar to the Wuchang spirits themselves. So wrapped up in that, everything in this game is markedly Chinese, from the relics you find to the world and the aesthetic. If you've ever been to China, I had the experience of being there for 1 month about 7 years ago. This really is reminiscent of some of the countryside, the fields, and some of the kind of ruins areas that have been recreated for this game. It is a very different feel than most of the Souls-likes that I've played. But like any action adventure game, you are going to go through different corridors, really intricate, cool level designs with an art direction that just feels fresh and different, but to me personally. Maybe it's because I've just never played a straight up Chinese Souls-like before.
Sure.
I know that a few have come out in the last couple of years, but like this is the one that I've tried now.
Yeah,
I'm just like, this is fresh.
There are a lot in the pipeline now, and I think it's definitely they've done well, and the games have.
Black Myth Wukong last year was like out of this world sales. So.
People who love these kinds of Souls-like games, I mean, it really has created kind of a new pathway over the last 15 years for different play experiences.
It has, and I think with each one of these, unfortunately, I have not been able to play Black Myth Wukong at this point because I really want to, when I play it, I want to do a deep dive of Journey to the West.
That feels like you can get really lost in that one.
It feels like I could get really lost in like timing, especially with Final Fantasy schedule last year. I just didn't have time for it. But I really want to do that at some point. I just haven't. But what I understand about the game is that it is heavily story-driven with characters and cutscenes and stuff. This game, Wuchang Fallen Feathers, is not like that. You have cutscenes and you have a story, but you kind of got to earn it a little bit more.
Okay.
Now, it has more cutscenes, I would say, than a Dark Souls game. That is just like intro of a boss, go fight.
It's kind of just animations. It's like
it is
opening title screens for each boss.
This one, you're going to have voice acting. You're going to have some dialogue. You're going to learn some things about Wuchang's sister and trying to save her. So you've got like the skeleton of a story, but you're going to piece together who different characters are. And that's what's cool about this game. You're going to find a relic and you're like, this means nothing to me right now. But then like 10 hours later, you're like, oh, this is the thing that goes to that boss, and that's who that boss actually was, and they transformed into this thing. And it's like when you make those connections, there's nothing like it. And that's what really feels Soulsy to me, because it's when I make those connections in a Dark Souls game that's like Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV show. Like that's what it feels like, and it's so rewarding in that respect.
Okay, so somebody who likes challenging Souls-like combat and would enjoy exploring a pretty rich Chinese history and aesthetic, you're in a pretty good lane here with this game.
I'm in a great lane. I like Souls-like games, and I also don't mind the gameplay loop of expecting to die regularly. One thing that would be kind of challenging to a lot of people that are new to this genre is the rarity of save points or respawn points.
Oh,
that's a challenge in a lot of Souls-like games, Dark Souls especially.
Sure.
So you have this kind of broad, sweeping, corridor-driven world where new paths will open up as you progress through the world, and then you unlock shortcuts that will take you back to a former save point. So you can respawn at that save point, and you can get to where you were, but it's important to unlock those shortcuts first. Now, some Souls-likes and their level design forget that aspect. It's the idea of you kind of reimagine or reinterpret that former safe place through how it connects to these new areas that you're in. Dark Souls 1 probably does level design better than any Souls-like out there. It sets the standard to this day. Dark Souls 2, 3, and even Elden Ring can't hold a candle to that.
Wow, you really liked it.
Yeah, well, it's perfect because like you're playing and you'll go for 30, maybe 45 minutes, and you'll find a ladder, and you drop down the ladder, and it's like, oh, my save point's down there. The one that I've been respawning because I die so much for the last 30, 45 minutes. It really makes
you appreciate it.
You love that. That is the feeling of relief that I get in Wuchang Fallen Feathers. It's like, finally, I have a way of getting back there.
Are you able to navigate it without looking up a guide, or are you really going to have the best experience if you kind of have a more guided play?
I play Souls games with guides, usually. Like, I don't care. Call me a baby gamer, all you want. Well, what I'll tell you with Wuchang is that when you get an advanced preview copy, you don't have a guide.
All right. Ain't no guide.
I have been playing it like the people lately. It is... And it is hard, but it is rewarding. Like, I'm like, nobody's ever done this before. And
that's a fun experience.
It is a fun experience. Even
you need to write a guide.
No, that is not my life. There are other content creators and websites that will do that. I don't have the detail oriented. I do, however, keep it.
Shout out to the people who write those guides.
Gosh,
I mean, I can't.
Imagine.
Every time I Google something and there's a YouTube video that pops up, or I find the answer,
it's just gratitude.
Oh, just thank you. Thank you.
For those who come after, it's the Expedition 33 thing all again. It's like, thank you for remembering me, Gustav. So.
Well, let's talk about that combat before we talk about what some of that difficulty is. So, traditionally in a Souls-like game, you're going to have like a block, you're going to have a dodge, and you're going to have something that people call iframes, which is invincibility frames. So when a character swings, if you are in the middle of your roll, you essentially dodge. You can't be hit if you time it correctly. Sometimes there's parry systems. It's mainly kind of like melee combat.
Yes, for the most part. So it's a little bit more limited than a lot of Souls-like games that might give you like the option of being a ranged sorcerer type combat. This is all very Chinese weaponry, like long swords, and like there is a battle axe. It's all very close melee. But then you are going to get like spells or things called disciplines that are going to allow you to do that. You're going to have a gauge that as you pull off certain dodges or certain moves, it's going to build up some kind of spirit energy sort of thing that you can then expend to use some of these range things. But you can't just stand back and spam. That is not the way this game is played. There are, I think, 4 weapon types with specific skill trees according to those weapon types. They do leveling up a little bit differently in this game.
How so?
Well, like in Dark Souls and Lies of P, you're going to have like all of your stats. Like, do you want to increase vitality or endurance or stamina? That's kind of out the window here. Instead, you have it's kind of like I said, a skill tree that is kind of reminiscent of Final Fantasy X's sphere grid. I don't particularly love a skill tree because it feels like if I have too many options, I am doing it wrong. Fortunately, in this game, you can reset all of your skill points for free at any time.
That solves most of my challenges.
All of
with
my
stuff
issues
like that.
with going down the wrong path in a skill tree, or if I wanted to change my weapon. So if you can imagine for a second, the skill tree kind of starts with a central node, and there are 4 pathways out of it, one for each of the weapon types.
Is this where you'll put B-roll of that over this moment? I'm going to look really
that
stupid
sounds like
if
a great
you don't.
idea. I'll put some B-roll of it.
No, this is great. But
you go through it, and so like I got about halfway through, I guess a chapter in the game. I think there's 5 chapters, more or less. There's secrets around that, but I won't spoil that. But there's a moment where I was like, I want to play with this new weapon, and I just respect, and I was so much better for it.
No, it felt good.
And the fact that it allows me to do that without locking me in and paying for all of the consequences of my sins, that was great. So I felt good.
I love it when my past choices don't have to come back to haunt me.
Oh gosh, I wish that I could live without consequences, right? Well, Wuchong lets you.
Well, that's the whole point of a game. I'm the kind of person that saves the best weapon in the game all the way to the end, and I'm on the final boss, and I'm like, oh, dang, I should have used my ultra mega weapon, and then it's just sitting there in my bag at the end of the game, and I just waited for another moment. So it's nice to know that that's not the case here.
What's cool with this is that in each of the weapon skill trees, and you can level them up like all balanced, so you could use all 4 weapons, just kind of a jack of all trades, or you can be like an ace of 1 or 2. Okay. You're going to be able to carry a primary and a secondary weapon, so it is good to level up 2 at a time. I'm in my current build, I've got a long sword. That is like my huge damage dealing. I am unstoppable with that thing. But I also have twin daggers that allow me a little bit faster combat as well. And those come with, each weapon that you get, it comes with different disciplines or different special moves that you're going to be able to pull off.
How does
the combat's really cool and varied.
How does it feel? Like when you're playing it, do you feel like there's weight to it? It feels like your hits are connecting. You can move. It's dynamic. It changes up enough that it's interesting. It doesn't get boring. Like it feels good.
It feels awesome. And the fact that you've got a primary and a secondary, there's one thing that you can do if you build up enough like of your spirit points or spirit energy, you can press, I think it's L3. I just it's mind mapped in my head at this point. But in the middle of a combo, you can press it and you will quick switch your weapon and go directly into a combo with the other weapon. So they've really made it cool and fluid, just change weapons and still like have that momentum that you'd had. So like I said, I like to use currently a long sword as well as these kind of twin double blades, because one's really kind of slower, still fast, but slower with power, and then I can swap over to these really quick ninja-esque.
But it sounds like they feel very distinct. And
they do feel distinct.
So you can change your kind of experience. If you want to play a more fluid kind of style, you can. If you want to play a more kind of smash it up, like slower style, you can. And they tell me what was it jarring to mix that up a little bit? Like, did you find yourself just settling in on one and you just kind of, this is my favorite? Or did you find yourself rotating through it?
Well, when you die as much as I do, you want to experiment with new things. So I was like, I wonder if the daggers will work. And lo and behold, it did. I was like, well, that destroyed that boss.
But that's where they give you the agency.
Where they give you the agency.
You can choose any of these tool sets, and this is going to be how you want it. Yep. So you want to mix it up for this one. You're bored of this one. You think this could be a better counter for this boss. You can use your creativity in the weapon selection and the fighting style. That's the way that you can express yourself in this game.
Yeah, it's really interestingly customizable. And in each of the weapon trees, this is also kind of cool. Not only are you opening up skills and abilities for the weapons, or even strength for the weapon, but you're also unlocking things like vitality, increasing your health and your strength. And that's coded into that particular line of the skill tree because those are the attributes that are going to supplement that particular weapon. So you're not going to get a lot of haste, agility stats in the longsword thing. But if you're using twin daggers like I am, well, that's going to give you just a little bit more of an edge with the longsword, even though that is a stat.
Oh, sure.
So it's kind of cross-referencing. It's really smart and cool. And I like it because I like a visual representation of what that means for my character versus like I just put 3 extra points in vitality. Like I don't really understand what that's going to do to like all of my stats, but
you're getting better because you're using it, and so the playing is how you kind of experience it. I love it when they get that right, and it sounds like they really did. Well, let's talk about how the combat relates to the difficulty. You've alluded many times to your frequency of death.
This game is hard. Yeah? This game is really, really hard. And I'm not the best game player in the world. I'm great at lore. Gameplay I enjoy, but I've beaten Dark Souls and Elden Ring. I platinumed these games, so like I'm not bad at it. It just takes me a little bit longer. The gameplay loop is not frustrating to me though, and that's
good.
To it. There's a few things that make it a little bit more difficult. The battles are tough, but I would say they are fair. I never felt like there was a cheap death in all of my thousands of deaths.
That's hard to get right.
There was never a cheap death. There's a few things that are a little bit, kind of cliche. I'm walking down a corridor and there was a closet that I didn't quite see, and somebody with a spear comes out and impales me. It's like,
okay, but that's great.
That's great the first time it happens. But if you keep doing it, well, I guess that's on me. Shame on me. But like that's part of it. The difficulty is fair. I would say boss battles, the hardest ones have taken me maybe 90 minutes of dying, and each run is probably about 90 seconds. So like, I die a lot in this, and those are really, really tough. I probably should have leveled up and grinded a little bit better, because when I get frustrated in a dungeon, and that's just going to happen, like I didn't quite make it to the next shrine, which is the save point, and so I find that I'm tired of going through the mobs of enemies. So I'll usually have a few like angry runs where I just press the sprint button and I just run through everything. And I'm going to die multiple times in that way. But
it's like a reset. You got a palate cleanse.
It is. Like in Donkey Kong, if I get mad, I'm just going to break everything with my hands. This is me running through with Wuchong and just like forget everything. I'm just running to the boss. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't.
But it feels different.
It feels different, and different is good. It's like Groundhog Day. You remember that old movie from the 90s?
Yes.
So many of my boss fights and runs in this game are like me just doing the exact same thing and having to repeat it again and again and again.
Waking up, smashing the alarm clock with your
daggers.
Stepping in the puddle.
Put your little hand in my...
chair playing, yes. Anyways... Who knew?
We're going to get a copyright strike because that was so accurate.
Oh, yeah. It's just honest. Well, for legal purposes, it's an interpolation, not a sample.
True.
All right?
This was commentary.
Isn't that how you pronounce that? Interpolation?
Sounds good to me.
I got to Google it now. It's going to drive me nuts.
There's a couple things that you said. You mentioned the iframes. Iframes are accurate here. They're tight. And when I'm able to dodge... the dodging, I would say, it's challenging, but it is lenient in a lot of ways. I'm able to dodge things. I'm like, I can't believe I dodged that. But for the closest of dodges, when you dodge, you're going to get, like I said, some of those spirit points that are going to access some ability.
A little piece of candy.
a little piece of candy. So I'm constantly like dodging, and then I press the L1 button, which is like a quick reflex sort of thing. That's going to be like a counterattack every single time. And that's a great way to just like do some quick damage on a foe that you've got. One other thing that I do want to say is that this was a hard change. When you die, you have a madness meter.
Uh-oh.
Your madness meter starts to go up because, again, you're fighting a plague that I think is called feathering. There's a bigger name for it, and this is rooted in some like some bird mythos of various kings, where like there's this idea of when you died, you would become a bird, and this is in real Chinese mythology.
Yeah, give me that bird lore.
Yeah, you would kind of become this. Well, this is kind of a grotesque distortion of that, where
I don't want that bird lore.
You're kind of losing your mind.
Are you like molting your feathers like a bird that's sick?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, poor bird.
And so you have this disease, but you're also transcending this disease, even as you're fighting people that are also having this feathering disease. You're able to manipulate it in a way that it is a boon to you rather than a curse necessarily. But because you are diseased, every time you die, you have a madness meter that starts to increase.
Okay, what happens when it goes
the
up?
madness meter increases, the damage you deal increases, but the damage you receive also increases.
To what end?
Well, if you don't get hit because you're getting better at dodging, you can kill things quicker. I've killed most of my bosses in the highest capacity madness, or second highest capacity madness, simply because I'm doing more damage and I've died enough that I know the enemy's movements.
When does it reset? Does it reset after every boss? Or
I'm glad you asked, because this is the part that almost made me throw the game away. It ended up being awesome, but when your madness meter gets to capacity, there is a manifestation of an inner demon that appears in the last place you died, which is usually where you need to go to progress further.
Don't tell me.
When you get to that place, you have to confront a version of yourself that is very, very strong. And like, I'll tell you, I've died to the max level several times.
Oh no.
And they're guarding your experience points, basically. Okay? Because anytime you die, a portion of your experience points, you have to go back and pick those up. Well, when you die this time, when your madness gets to the fullest level, you have to beat this thing in order to get it back.
I've lost so many experience points. You have to confront your past in order to pick back up where you left off to move forward.
Yeah, and your inner demon, right? Because you are fighting off the madness now.
I think I like that it exists, and I think I would like watching you do it. I don't think I would enjoy playing.
Well, here's the fun thing about it, though. Like, at that moment, you are your most vulnerable, but you are also your strongest. You will do the most damage at that point. So if by some miracle I was able to, and I've gotten better at that as the game's progressed.
Sure.
If you're able to defeat that demon, then you keep the kind of madness boost, and then you can go on and fight the boss.
Oh, you keep
also,
the boost.
You can try to outrun your inner demon, which I said.
You can flee from your past.
You can
flee from your past. Do you get the experience points back if you do?
No, because eventually you'll die, and you'll just when you don't beat your inner demon, you're just like, I'm forfeiting that. That's the peace payment. Like, it's the wages of my peace. I'm just not going to deal with that. I'm just going to keep running. That to me was hard because I was like, why is this thing that kind of looks like me mad at me? I was like, oh, it's my inner demon. Again, I had to go into some menus and understand what that was. But now I'm like, okay.
Okay, so let's shape this recommendation here, the type of player that might enjoy this game. And I think you've consulted some of your experts in your life around Souls-like games, because that's one of the big pillars of people who would enjoy this game. To have a good time with this game, you're going to need to like Souls-like kind of technical, difficult combat challenges. That is the core loop. There is some story that goes along with it. The worlds and the environments are rich. They're fun to walk around in. You love it's kind of steeped in that Chinese history and aesthetic and that lore. But at the end of the day, you're fighting stuff, and it's not easy. So it's going to be important that you know that that's the kind of combat and play experience that you're into, which many of our folks really do love that kind of play experience. So it's going to be right up their alley. But what are some of your Souls-like veterans saying about this game, and how would they counsel people towards what this game feels like?
One of the things that I would say about what you just said is there are Souls-like games whose environments and atmosphere and aesthetics are not enticing enough to continue, and it's just not worth it difficulty-wise. Like this is a grind, and I'm not sure the payoff is good. The world in this game is the payoff. The story and lore is like, okay, I am interested enough that I want to get past this next thing. I've bounced off of a lot of Souls-like.
Yeah.
This game is probably the best representation of a true Souls-like in the Dark Souls style since Lies of P.
Wow.
I think that it is just it just captures that same magic and reappropriates it in a fun and exciting sort of way. Now, I am what you would call an avid but casual Souls-like fan. Okay, so I don't play every one that comes out. This one caught my eye mainly because of the lore and the mythology, and so it keeps me coming back to it even when I get frustrated. I have several friends that really love Souls-like. Shout out to Ben.
I have several friends.
I have a lot of friends.
Friends.
But my friend Ben is like my go-to when I'm like, hey, is this a good one or is this not, or whatever.
Ben.
He got me into Dark Souls, bought me Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 compilation for a birthday or something like that, and I've played through them. Love it. Because of him, I love Elden Ring. I am not afraid. Like, he got me into Bloodborne, which is probably maybe the peak, in my opinion, of lore and gameplay.
Remake when?
Don't remake the best. It's a masterpiece as is. I'm of that mindset.
Give me that HD. Give me that PS5.
Wouldn't that be great?
Come on. You know you want to.
We all want it.
Give us something new. Give us something new with the Bloodborne.
I've stopped believing in such things. I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
We've been really good.
We got Bloodborne guy in Astrobot though, so that's the remake.
That's insulting. Do it for my brother. He wants it.
Okay. So for your brother, we'll petition them. I talked to Ben about this, and I was like, well, what are some things that you would be interested in knowing? And the first thing that he said, like without hesitation, was, for me, there's a huge disparity in design quality between Souls-likes made by From Software and those made by other studios. Mystery discovery, thoughtful world design, beyond simply game mechanics and difficulty. How does Wuchong fit that mold? It's a stellar question. And the way that I would answer it is kind of what we've already talked about. It matches it pretty darn well. Nobody's going to do it like From Software. They are the standard bearers, But what I'll say is that the level design is probably it's up there with Dark Souls 1 for me. It's not quite that level, but I really, really like it. Just because it feels like the shortcuts mean something because I've struggled my way to them. And that to me is that's just classic Souls design. And it makes you realize how interconnected the world is in a way that's like, I didn't realize that place was right here. It really makes it cohesive and cool. I love that. The other thing is the way that it tells the story. Like I've mentioned this a little bit. It's difficult to follow who is doing what in this game for me, because as we said at the top of the show, I'm not a Chinese scholar. So the names don't necessarily mean too much for me. And that's just because of my own ignorance. So it's important for me to write down, okay, who is this person, Lu Hon Wong, and who is this, and juxtapose that with this other person, all that kind of stuff. So when you take the time to really say, okay, this is who this person is and this is what their deal is, the payoffs are there. It's probably going to be a little bit easier for someone. I would imagine that for a Chinese player, for example, this is going to be very, very easy.
Okay, so if you have some familiarity with the folklore and like the character references that they're making, you're going to have a more rich experience. But if you don't have that level of familiarity, you'll understand it, but it may not have the same impact unless you take the time to learn a little bit more about kind of that reference or that lore.
Yeah, otherwise, if you don't have a reference or you're not meticulous about taking note of some of those names, it's all going to kind of jumble together because, unfortunately, a lot of the names do kind of sound very, very similar with just like one vowel change.
Sure.
And so I'm like, oh, gosh, which name was that? And so it's just confusing to somebody that is not as saturated.
Especially when your hands are sweaty after a boss fight.
Yeah. That said, if you don't understand all those things, you're still going to have a good time with the game because the game, it's not about those things. It's not about the story necessarily. That gets you from point A to point B, but it's there in a richer way than a lot of games like this are. There's also really good cutscenes and stuff. I think that that's something that stands apart, but they're not like... It's not like an expose on the story, right? A lot of people, especially classic Souls fans, are like, I don't want the story told to me. I want to discover it. Well, you're still going to do that, but there's a little bit more framing of what you should be looking for in the cutscenes, which I think is pretty cool. It just gives me like a little bit of a breadcrumb trail, so I know what I'm looking at.
It sounds like it's a nice new take on some very familiar and enjoyable combat in a new place, in a new setting. Then as long as you're okay with the difficulty and the mechanics there, then you're going to have a really great time, and there's a lot to really enrich your play experience and discover while you're doing it. What else would you want people to know as we kind of wrap up our discussion on this new one that seems like you're really having a good time with?
I love this game. Like when I get a few moments, I will play, and it ends up being a couple hours.
It sucks you in.
Yeah, it really sucks me in. And it's that gameplay loop. It's like, this time I know what to do. This time I'm going to go in there and I'm going to come in with a different plan. To me, that's super fun.
It's a hard line to strike to grab that feeling of determination, but to kind of balance it and keep you from tipping over the edge with frustration. And I think that that's really important for you when you play. And that's why I think that you're a great person for folks to listen to about different play experiences, because you have a pretty reasonable line for what's frustrating and then what is enjoyable because you've accomplished it. You love a good challenge, but you also don't like things that feel unfair. So for you to enjoy a game that has this kind of play experience, it means that it must feel pretty fair, and that when you fail, you look at yourself in the mirror and say, that one's on me.
That one's on me. I do every time. It's also good because like every run is different. Like I said, because the madness increases. So your stats
that mechanic. That's
are
very
variable.
Cool.
And it's like, okay, that death doesn't have to end in failure because I'm a little bit stronger this time. So like this time I can go back and kill the boss. And so that's a fun way of keeping me playing.
That's very creative. I mean,
it is.
It's interesting where you have to find the spaces for creativity and fresh takes for these things, because what is going to keep you in that loop? You know, when you're climbing up that hill and you tip to the top of that kind of play loop, what is going to carry you over and keep you going when you start to get frustrated? And it sounds like they've really sprinkled in between the weapon changes, the madness system, and just the general feel of the game, some good options where it's not the same thing that has to draw you back in. It's a combination of those two things and your own determination that can keep you moving forward.
Yeah, that's exactly it. This game is super fun. In another year, I would say that it would be a contender for one of the biggest games of the year. This year is stacked. It's hard, but this game stands proud in the Soulslike genre alongside Lies of P, I would say, which to me, Lies of P has been the best non-From Software Souls-like game. This is very reminiscent of that. And I think that I may like the world here a little bit more than Lies.
That's just because puppets scare you.
Puppets are Yeah, I've got trauma from Lies of P.
You got puppet trauma.
Go watch the 9-hour stream of me trying to fight that final boss on into 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. It was a fun time. Evan was there.
I just keep thinking PTSD, puppet traumatic stress disorder.
It is puppet traumatic stress disorder. And here it's a different kind of trauma. It's the madness of the inner demon.
You're literally pulling your feather. Wait, are the feathers like growing on you in that battle?
They
or are they
are off of your
out?
left shoulder.
Okay,
yeah.
so when they grow, that's the disease growing.
Yeah, and then there's moments when like it activates different.
Okay,
it's fascinating. This I don't typically put numbers to games, but this is an easy like if you were to put a number, an 8 out of 10 game. There are some things that it does really really well. There's some things that it could improve on, maybe just like in some presentation things. But even as of like this morning, some quality of life patches have already been released, and I know that 505 Games is doing some great work as far as like continuing to update everything from performance issues, gameplay, some fairness, quality of life thing. There was a thing about landmines in Chapter 2, I think, that felt a little unfair, and now they've kind of balanced that a little bit better.
Okay.
So they're hearing complaints and they're seeing feedback, and they're just a great team, and they should be very much applauded for the work that they've done.
Well, that keeps you hopeful for the play experience to continue to be good too, and to get in some of that replayability as you continue to improve the game. Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much for telling us about it, and really, I think you've done a great job breaking out what that play experience is like, who this game could be for, and I feel like I could talk to anyone about this game now if that's what they say that they like. And that's what I really enjoy about doing these kinds of segments. Not really the kind of game for me typically, because I don't have the level of determination that you do on some of these things. But I love talking about games, and I love the exploration of the mechanics. So being able to have these conversations and share these videos and share these discussions, so that even if it's not a game for you, you hopefully have a functional knowledge to be able to learn more about it with someone in your life who might like it, or you know who maybe you want to buy it for as a gift or something like that. We always want to keep people playing.
Evan, we should talk about that.
Okay.
This game is $50.
Hey, yeah!
This game is $50.
$50.
So it's a great gift for somebody and even for yourself. So go and support them. This is a very worthy game to spend some time on.
About how many hours would you say someone could expect to spend if they were just an average player with the combat?
So for one playthrough, you're probably going to look at 35 to 40-ish hours. This is a game that deserves multiple playthroughs.
Okay.
I will say.
It's that fun.
Well, and there's some options for you. I'm not going to say anything else beyond that, but there's some choices that you can make, and it's really great. So
all right.
They know that it's got a great post game. So do it. For $50, it's a great package.
Amazing. Well, thank you to 505 Games for the preview copy, and thanks for sharing all your thoughts with us, and welcome back.
Thank you. We should also say not just thank you to 505 Games, but the actual developer, Lindsay. We haven't really talked much about them. We've talked a lot about the publisher, but Lindsay, the developer, has done just a phenomenal job with this. I'll admit they were not really on my radar before this game, but now they definitely are one to watch. So,
excuse me, I wasn't familiar with your game.
Thank you, 505 Games, both of you. So. And with that, we're back and rolling. Fall semester's kicking off. Look forward to all kinds of new content. We're continuing our Final Fantasy X lecture play series throughout the rest of the summer. And then as we move into September, look forward to Final Fantasy Tactics and more. And so we are getting into it. It's going to be good.
We are going to have some fun.
I'm ready for a normal schedule again. But it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment, especially about pronunciation of the game title. And we'll see you soon. Walk tall, my friends.
Bye,
see
everybody.